All right, 3.
Okay, we're moving.
Fantastic. 2. I need you to stop talking. And I love you though. But I
0.
All right, let's redo that. Just stop talking. All right, here we go. What is up, and welcome back to your favorite movie podcasts. And where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs, we use the stuff that gets you drunk. So,
I tried my TikTok trick and it didn't work. You're supposed to be able to open the. Anyway, yeah.
with
sorry.
the other can,
Wow, all that build up.
what are you drinking over there, Josh? Today, what is your support beer?
The Sapo Cerveza, Mexican style lager from Fat Toad Brewing. It's actually a fantastic
Nice.
Mexican lager.
My very last Italian beer, my last Peroni. So hopefully we could tag them in this and thank them for 6 solid episodes. We appreciate it. Jordan, football season, if you were hosting a Sunday at your house before we film this show or after we film this show, I fully expect you to have a beer with us first
One
thing
of
in the
these
morning.
days, yeah.
I fully expect it.
I can't
You gotta
justify
drink.
getting
You
up
gotta catch
at
up. You gotta drink like 30
8:30
beers, dog.
a.m.
One of the shows, we're just going to have Jordan with a funnel, and he's going to have 6 beers just loaded up. So right now we're going to start with me with what I was watching. I decided to watch a film called Run, Rabbit, Run, which is a Netflix original film. It is an Australian film, and I watched it because I enjoyed Shiv's character from Succession, one of the best shows on television. And if you don't know who that is, her name is Sarah Snook. It is one of those movies that will leave you depressed, but I highly recommend it. This, however, I gave a pop. And it was an incredibly depressing film. It was one of those films where after you watch it, you feel bad about yourself. Like, not that you did anything wrong, just it made you so sad that you need to put on a comedy or something.
Yeah.
One, that kids are weird. Kids are super weird. But there's hidden murders in this film. There's runaway children. There's ghosts murdering only children. And I think kids are weird. Like I said, one of the girls thinks she's the mother's dead sister within the film. And that evolves into the mom mistaking the daughter for the dead sister. There's a scene with scissors in it that is just mortifying. And it's essentially, I don't think this is a spoiler. The little girl is going through all these things where she believes herself to see another person, where she believes herself to see an invisible person. And the mother runs into the room and thinks she has something wrong with her face, and she's trying to cut her hair away to get to what she believes is a cut on the head. And she just starts slicing the little girl up with the scissors.
God. Dude, I'm
trying to get to her, and you're like,
That's
oh my
it.
God.
Yeah.
And it was super, it was super graphic. You don't know which one's broken, who's worse, and the ending is just horrifying. And it just, you'll know it when you see it, drops you off a ledge. And you're like, oh, that's how you're going to leave it. Then I watched Jerry and Marge Go Large. Opposite end of the spectrum. I gave it a pop +1 because it is a feel-good film, and you do need that after you watch something so depressing and morbid. And it asked the question, what would you do if you figured out a formula to win the lottery? Now, they never win the jackpot. What was that?
I'm sorry. I remember what movie you're talking about.
Yeah, so they never win the jackpot in this film, and it stars Bryan Cranston. But they do win $27 million. And of course, leave it up to the Harvard kids, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, to screw everything up. And they get involved and begin to mess up everything when Jerry and Marge have a good thing going. It actually benefits the lottery company they keep winning, and it benefits their town. And they don't take this money and only invest in themselves. They create a community fund to improve their town. And it's one of those small towns that's run down and kind of been beat down by the advent of technology, right? The technology revolution. And they revamp their whole town with this money, with this lottery. So they don't just bring themselves up, they raise the entire town to a totally different level.
Yeah, so they're kind of Robin Hooding.
Yeah, they Robin Hood it. Exactly. Yeah. steal from the rich and give to the
Hey,
poor.
lottery's a scam, so scam the lottery if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could figure out the formula.
Nah.
Outside of that, Jordan, you and I watched a similar film. So I watched Sledgehammer by Mr. Segura.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? And go over what you watched. I'll go over this one with you. I gave it a pop 1, just so you know.
Okay. The marketing for this was really good, by the way. I mean, Tom Segura, if you don't know, he has a podcast network. You know, him and his wife, him and Bert Kreischer, who's we've talked about on this show. He's funny. He's a funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like how he takes time to take a crap on the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah,
It feels like an American civic duty, you know. You're doing good if the Westboro Baptist Church is out protesting you.
Yeah.
So, shout out to that, you know. I don't exactly follow his podcast. I see clips every now and then on Twitter of like, you know, some funny 10-second little bit he's doing.
Yeah.
So I had to Google and go down a Garth Brooks rabbit hole. Like, is Garth Brooks a serial killer?
Yeah.
He makes reference to that. I was like, wait a minute, is Garth Brooks really being accused of being a serial killer? So
I didn't even follow that. I mean, I followed the joke, but I was like, whatever, man.
Dude, that's for real. That's serious. There's so many videos of people at Garth Brooks concerts. There's signs that say, "Where are the bodies?" at his concerts.
Oh my God.
He gets it everywhere he goes. He hates Tom Segura. And Tom Segura just like pulled a name out of his ass. Like, yeah, Garth Brooks, why not? I'll make fun of him. And it just stuck. It stuck for some reason. Amazing.
He did with Brad Pitt in this one.
Oh yeah. I did some real hard laughing at this. Some uncomfortable laughing. I thought this was really good. I give it a popcorn 2.
Yeah, I was a poppin' 1 myself. The jokes were funny, but it was, for me, super lowest common denominator humor. I thought the jokes were well crafted, but for someone of his skill, they could have been better. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
He did the generic, I have to talk to the cops about pushing my wife down the stairs joke. And I was like, oh, it's kind of generic. I mean, I've heard it before, probably told better. Probably by Kevin Hart, to be honest. And the only redeemable parts that I was really laughing hard at were the last 2 bits. His bit with Joey Diaz and his bit with his mother. Outside of that, it was funny. It wasn't a bad special for me. Like, I thought it was funny. I just thought he was more talented than that, and I penalized him for being such a great comedian and not rising to my expectations as if I matter.
He has been accused of that.
I like when he does the voice of his son, and he sounds like
like a grown ass man.
Yeah,
you got a big penis.
It's funny. Staying in stand-up comedy, Kevin Hart reality check on Peacock. I gotta say, there's way too much camera cutting and editing in this. It was like I said the same thing for Amy Schumer's last special. I don't know what they're doing, but every point he's trying to make or punchline he drops, it's like this dramatic camera cut where he's like, and it's just all over the place. Too much, takes away from the content, which isn't great. Honestly, it starts really slow. He goes back to his old faithfuls, you know, talking about jokes about his dad is kind of where he made his bones with all his catchphrases with the all right, and you're going to learn today. He makes reference to that. So he kind of gets back to that, and it's funny. It starts to pick up, but it never really. I watched this one and Tom Segura's back to back, so it was just kind of like, I really laughed pretty hard at that one. So it didn't live up to that. I was kind of comparing it the whole time. I give it a popcorn off of a curve of all of his other specials.
Ooh, yeah.
Didn't do it for me because he's got some classics out there. So popcorn for that one. I also watched some TV this last week. Finished the season short series Love and Death on Max.
I love the way you said that. Also watched a little bit of TV this week.
I just treated myself. It was time.
A little bit.
Sometimes you got to slow down the movie just grinding through movies, you know.
Change the medium a little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
Starring Jesse Plemons and Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Scarlet Witch.
Yes. I called the show homicidally desperate housewives. Pretty much. It's a bunch of, what is this? It probably takes place in like the 40s, 50s, something like that. Small town, Texas, housewives having affairs just because I'm bored. Let's have an affair kind of thing. Yeah, lots of big names and recognizable faces. The characters are so conservative, Southern, and like very awkward. So the way it kicks off is her just kind of like, "Do you want to have an affair with me?" like straight up, just a proposition. Like, "Would you mind having an affair?" It's pretty funny just how the whole thing starts and how weird and awkward they are and how it progresses. It's super funny. Like they have meetings about it for like 3 months where they're like, "Okay, I'll make the lunch and I'll do," like, it's pretty funny how it gets into it. It's a little slow, but then when the drama picks up, it's like, it gets pretty intense. It's based on a true story. The Elizabeth Olsen's character, when, love and death, there's obviously some crime that's involved. But she just oozes the white privilege for how she handles the police and just her whole attitude and demeanor going through the whole thing. It's just like, it's super obnoxious.
I mean, like, I don't mean to sound a certain kind of way, but could you imagine if a man did that? Like, whoa. Like, you had to have it be Elizabeth Olsen, because if it was Jesse Plemons' character, the story goes completely different. Like, he almost immediately goes to jail.
Yeah.
Straight to jail.
She's
Believe it or not, straight to jail.
She's like, "No," and the series is over.
Yeah, or like, because honestly, if we can all be honest, I am not knocking Jesse Plemons' look. I am promoting Elizabeth Olsen's look. Look, if he married Elizabeth Olsen, he would be batting way out of his league. So it's just funny to think about.
Well, his wife in the show is, gosh, I hope this is her name. I think it's Lily Rabe from American Horror Story.
A little bit of rabies. Is that her name? So you said
Rabe, yeah, the nun girl from like season 2 American Horror Story. If you're deep on that show,
yeah.
I've seen every episode of that show except for this most recent season, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
No. But yeah, everything she does in the fallout of the crime being committed is just like, it's insulting to like, just to even be watching. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, she does everything she possibly can to get caught. And I'm not going to.
Well, thanks for that spoiler.
No, I mean, it's in the preview. It's in the preview. You know what happens.
I assume she did it. I had no idea until just now.
Yeah, it's watching.
Of course she did it.
The lawyer who is the mentally ill brother from Ozark.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in this show. His tension with the judge in the case, in the trial and stuff, is super entertaining. He deserves an award for this and much more roles. Elizabeth Olsen deserves an award for this. I could see a lot of awards going to this show. I give it a popcorn and 2.
Poppin' 2.
Allison Brie's incredible.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it to end. What's that?
She's a great actor. She's incredible. Remember Glow?
Allison Brie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say Allison Brie was in this, Jordan?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Elizabeth Olsen. She's great. Let's start that over. Yeah, she's a great actress, Elizabeth Olsen.
I was so confused. I was like, I don't think you said. That's why I stopped you, Josh. I was like, what was that name? Allison Brie. I was like, I don't think you said that.
Aren't shapes cool?
If you're an Elizabeth Olsen fan, there's a couple good surprises in there for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Oh, moving on. I watched some more TV this week. I watched season 6 of the Eric Andre show on Adult Swim.
Okay.
I think it's over. It's 10 episodes. I think the season is over. My dream collab is Eric Andre and Tim Robinson. I feel like they could make some whacked out funny stuff together. I mean, different styles for sure, but I could see that working.
Okay.
The show's an acid trip. It's super chaotic. Definitely not for everyone. I've tried to show this show to like a couple people and quickly felt like kind of embarrassed and ashamed.
That you like
know?
it?
Yeah,
That you like now they know what I like. What
Yeah,
tickles
yeah.
my fancy, now they know.
They know I'm into that shit now.
You quickly realize, like, oh, they are not into this at
Yeah.
all.
That happens with I Think You Should Leave now sometimes. Like if you
Oh,
show
yeah.
somebody the wrong episode, like if you start on the wrong episode to show them the show.
Well, I've showed a cousin, like even the heavy hitters on I Think You Should Leave, like the ones that I'm like, this is classic, this is all time, and they're still like like awkwardly, like uncomfortably, like that was weird,
this?
that was funny, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think my new favorite sketch on that is the Pay It Forward sketch. That Pay It Forward sketch.
55 burgers,
I watched
55
like the whole. That it makes me laugh so because I feel the same way the guy in front feels. I'm like, I always want to ask, like, before I have to pay for them, like, what did they order? Can you just tell me what they ordered?
Yeah.
I've actually had a barista at one point in time. She literally goes, I go, I guess I'll take care of the car behind me, and she literally goes, are you sure?
Yeah.
I was like, why? What happened? She goes, they ordered like $28 worth of stuff.
Oh my god.
Damn it.
All right, back to Eric Andre. We're still in his thunder.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's street pranks. He brings the whole premise of the show is he does some pranks and then he brings unwitting celebrities onto his couch and just tortures them, basically. The show's only 12 minutes long each episode. It just moves super quick. I didn't care for his new, when he started the show, his co-host, in quotes, you know, if you can have a co-host, and that it's weird if you understand the dynamic of the show. If you've seen it, it was Hannibal Buress.
Oh, Hannibal Buress, not Rel.
He was actually a great co-host.
He was really, he fit that role for that show perfectly. Hannibal Buress blew up kind of, but it has fallen off since. I wish Hannibal Buress would come back and be in more things. I really like his humor.
He's the one that called out Bill Cosby.
Right. He was really good in
Broad City. He was the first one to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Really good. But they replaced him with Felipe Esparza, not as well known comedian.
Don't know who
he's
that
okay.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't care for him on the last season when they brought him in. He kind of was really out of place and just didn't fit the show, but he was a little bit better on this one. He kind of found his spot in there to fit in. I give this season of the show, I'm going to give it a popcorn and a beer.
A pop and one.
One pop, one beer.
And I think that was your last watch.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, Josh, I mean, you watched some stuff that we've already reviewed, so I'm interested, if you don't mind, starting with Flamin' Hot. I'd like to hear you and Jordan talk about that because I have yet to see that yet.
For sure.
I want to hear you guys riff on this.
Flamin' Hot. Flamin' Hot was pretty cool. I didn't know what to get into because we talked about that when you watched it, Jordan, with products as commercials as movies. You know what I mean? So I was kind of leery about that, but you convinced me to watch it because it's just a really great family movie, and it's very heartwarming. You get a little emotional a couple times, but the movie doesn't take itself seriously in that way at all. It's all from the narration of the main character, and it really reminded me. I said this to someone before it happened of the Scientologist guy who's in Ant-Man. He tells the stories and he gives everyone his voice when he's retelling the story.
Luis
Pena. Yeah. So I was just saying, like, this movie reminds me of that. And then that technique is actually used in the movie, like 10 minutes after I said that. So that was interesting. It's funny enough. It's warm. It's easy, fun, true. And that's really cool. I think it's
True-ish.
a popcorn and two movie. I went out, honestly, it worked. I went out and got some Flamin' Hots like right away. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, great movie. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. What was next, Josh?
Then I finally got to watch Spider-Verse, and I'm mad that I didn't just see it again right after that because I'm gonna keep watching that forever. I think this clearly puts Spider-Verse in line to probably end up being the best trilogy. Maybe that's speaking too soon, but it was good. Everything great about Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, enhanced to the nth degree or whatever. It was it was just so good, so well written. The art blew my face off. I love how they showed all the different dimensions, alternate realities, and the art was different for each one. It's that existed in the first one, but we got to see so many more universes, so it's different styles of art. That was really
the spider
wonderful.
chase scene, man.
The spider chase scene was so good. And I did a little deep diving about the animation.
The art blew my face off.
Yeah, the stuff they had to do. They went into detail with like how the frames worked. Every other Spider-Man was in a certain, they basically evens. On the even frames, they would have a new pose. They intentionally made Miles Morales do the opposite. So on odd frames, that's when he had his pose. So he's all
Morales.
Mallory Morales, the incredible Miles Morales. When there's Miles Morales running around there, I made sure he had he was posing, showing his silhouettes and stuff on the odd frames. And then even further, intentionally, Spider-Punk alone was on his own cadence, which is perfect for the character.
He was cool.
He was such a good character. And like his style of art changed constantly. He went to black and white, to comic version. Yeah. Everyone else stayed pretty much consistent. It was incredible. The art blew my mind. I loved all the villains. I loved where they went with it. I hated that cliffhanger. Holy crap. What is this, Pirates of the Caribbean 2? Come on.
Yeah, I did too. I think that was in my review too when I watched it. So now that we've all three seen it, I'm going to say my opinion is it's the front runner for the Oscar as far as best animated feature.
It's getting that. It's getting the Oscar, period.
Unless something crazy and prolific comes out.
Not happening.
I agree.
I did hear there's a big issue with a lot of artists walking out because artists aren't usually treated well in situations like this. Same thing happened to MCU stuff. But you know, I hope it all works out, and I hope artists get paid. Pay the writers, pay the artists. Don't be a jerk.
It's getting ridiculous with the writers and with the artists. It's just blowing my mind. Like, stop saying you're not as profitable as you were last year. If you would reinvest, you know, 100,000 of your $1 million a year salary into your company, that would do wonders. And that's the 2% that the writers are asking for and that the artists want. And you keep acting like you don't have enough money to go around. Meanwhile, you make an entire film, pay tons of money, and you use it for a write-off by never releasing it. Hashtag
that's
back
crazy.
row.
Yeah.
So it's blowing my mind. It's just blowing my mind with that. But anyway, we had a drunk classic this week that someone hadn't seen. And if anyone was wondering, we are going to start a point system. I hope this doesn't dilute the segment. I would say let's not go too far out of our way, but let's have hope that somebody hasn't seen, one of the members hasn't seen the movie that we recommend here. We watched Red Dawn, and I didn't know this. I thought Josh had seen it. My money was on Jordan not seeing it. So if I was a gambling person, I would have put I am just sports. But anyway, I would have put my money on Jordan to have not seen it. But his history teacher was smoking a lot of meth and let him watch it. Now for me, I love the beginning. Soviet Union. Worst harvest in 55 years as they invade Poland for resources.
Yeah.
Cuba and Nicaragua scrounge up a 500,000 troop army. Germany gets rid of the nuclear weapons in Europe. Mexico goes into full revolution and NATO dissolves, leading to these three countries, Russia, Nicaragua, and Cuba, taking over the world essentially in World War III. And there's some shots. There's some racial shots fired at some other countries in this, and I'm not going to mention them, but if you want to see them, just watch the movie. Now, at the very beginning, you see them descend upon a school in the middle of the Midwest of America. And they are a bit outside of Denver, and I think 40 miles outside of another state. So I would put them somewhere in like Missouri, Kansas area, probably is where this is taking place. Because I think Denver's 6 hours away from Kansas City, right? Something like that.
Give or take, yeah. I assumed like Wyoming or something.
Yeah, well, no, Wyoming gets taken over. If you're listening to remember the Colonel, they made it all the way up to Cheyenne. So I would say one thing is that made me laugh, and it probably should have made me laugh, was that there was one kid that was just too slow in getting down. When they start shooting into the window of the school, there's just one kid that got caught with a bullet. And I was like, oh, he was the slow one. Oh, man, you looked a little too long.
Last pick
Poor
for
guy.
dodgeball.
Of course, we have a badass American truck that makes an appearance. You can't make a movie like this without it. You have
that's a good
young
truck.
Teenagers. Yeah, it was a great truck. Mm-hmm. It was a great truck.
Yeah.
You have young American teenagers in the wilderness shooting deer and drinking their blood. They just want to walk. What made me laugh also is after the occupiers have set up shop in this town, they just walk around. Like they didn't run away and almost they just like just walking around the town. Like, hey, don't you know they're looking for you? As the soldiers staring directly at them, and I'm like, I mean, they're found.
They're right there.
Them.
That's them.
They are, and he's like staring down at them.
It's like everyone at work that day forgot their walkie-talkies. They're like, we got. Oh, I forgot. I was going to report those two kids, but whatever.
I would love to see the Russian sketch artist that drew a picture of them, and it just doesn't look like them at all. They're looking for the wrong person.
It's like that guy.
This is what we presume. We presume. But the don't cry at all for me
don't
is their
cry
dad's
ever
about to be
again in your life.
Is this the start of toxic masculinity? Like 40 years of it is like the 80s where you're never cry again. Avenge me. Probably one of the more famous lines though. So if you've ever quoted that, this movie is what that's from. And I've heard people quote it that I know for a fact have never seen the movie. They'll just be like, avenge, like a joke. And you see it on TikTok now.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's from Red Dawn.
Yeah.
That's what that's from, is that father. Now, they had to work a tank into every shot, it seemed, in this film. Every single shot, like a tank just appears or it drives up, and they're like, no, we're getting our money's worth out of the 5 tanks we rented for this movie. They will be at every single scene. For me, I would say I gave it a pop 1. I liked going back in nostalgia. I like seeing young Patrick Swayze, R.I.P. I like seeing young Charlie Sheen. Jennifer Grey is in it.
Yep.
It's a fun movie. Like, no matter what you say, it's just a stupid action movie. And I think Jordan and Josh said it. America. It just pulls it out in you. Like, what would you do? Like, what would happen? I love the gimmick at the very beginning of the film where you can have my gun when you pry it out of my cold, dead fingers. And subtlety is a lost art on this film because the very next scene is a foreign troop stepping on his fingers and prying the gun out of his cold, dead fingers.
Yeah.
I gave it a pop 1. What did you guys think?
I think this movie alone has inspired and passed a lot of right-wing NRA legislation. Just total commercial for, owning semi-automatic weapons. Like you pointed out, how I like how they have to preface all these different things in the world, these really far-fetched things in the world that have to happen in order for something like this to happen. It makes you feel pretty safe, honestly. You're like, wow, that's a lot of dominoes that have to fall to lead to this happening.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, during class, I was thinking, pay attention in history class, kids, because you might be able to fight off a Russian invasion using anecdotal knowledge of Mongol war tactics.
Guerrilla war.
Yeah. You talk about Genghis Khan and stuff. I'm like, there's some foreshadowing going on here a little bit. I think
you better pay attention.
It's a short movie, gets right into the action. You're, 10 minutes in, you got Russians dropping out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. That's always good. You can tell that these kids have never played Call of Duty in their life. I'm like, man, come on. You got to slide, roll, shoot.
Yeah.
Come on. This is beginner stuff.
Come on. Yeah, the whole troops, every troop was just, they're mismatched clothing and just running around. Like, you can tell the extras in uniform are just like, they shoot and then they run backwards and then run back and shoot some more. And they're just running all over the field. It was hilarious.
Well, they're like point blank range. Like 2 or 3 of them surrounding a guy just firing on him and they're not hitting him. I'm like, what's happening here?
Well, did you notice that the bullets were late?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it hits him
Yeah.
like, that was making me laugh because I was like, oh my god, it hits him like 5 seconds after the shot's fired.
Yeah. My last comment is there's too much non-English dialogue and they don't give you subtitles.
Mine had subtitles.
Really? Mine didn't. I had
mine
English
didn't either.
subtitles. I had English subtitles, but I didn't have any subtitles for the Russian or the Cuban.
Okay, so there actually are subtitles. Because I missed it too.
Mine had subtitles.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, this is a really weird artistic choice.
I'm like, I don't understand a fifth of the dialogue in this movie.
I'd have to send it to you. Dang. So when the Cuban colonel or when the Russian colonel comes, the scene right before the helicopters descend on them for grabbing all the food that clearly had a tracker in it.
Yeah.
He goes, they're dogs and we need to hunt them like dogs. We need to stop. Their logo is a wolverine. Wolverines are, feisty animals. We need to stop waiting for them to come to us and go get them where they are. So they start setting up traps to go get them.
Well, that's the thing.
See, I didn't know any of that.
Without the subtitles, if you don't speak Spanish, you don't understand the colonel. Yeah, you don't understand his change of heart at the end at all. He's just romantically reading this letter in a room, and I can make out like every 3 words, and then all of a sudden he's like, "All right, I'll let you go."
Yeah, it was his wife confessing that she misses him. She doesn't think the war is worth it because he's been away from home for so long now that she misses him brushing her hair and things like that. Is what she was saying in the letter, and he just wants to go home, so he wants the war to end.
Yeah, that whole ending was lost on me.
Dinner's gonna be cold tonight, mother effer.
I'm so sorry that happened to you guys. Because that's a really funny scene. The first scene where they kill the first Russians and Cuban and Nicaraguan troops when they're like all officers taking pictures over the big vista, and he picks up the arrow. He goes, "You big dumb idiot." Because he goes, "Oh, look, a classic Native American arrow. There's probably more all around here." And he goes, "Yeah, stupid. I forgot they were using plastic."
Yeah. I could make out like every 3 words to kind of get a gist, but.
And he goes, and functional steel.
Yeah. I of course missed that, but honestly, I thought it was a really maybe a bad choice to have it, like you said, a fifth of the movie you don't understand what they're saying. But then I got to be okay with it, and I didn't catch all that thing about I heard him say plastique or something, but I didn't know what anyone was saying. But I was intrigued by the fact that I still kind of understood what was going on. You don't necessarily have to know the language to really, get the little details, of course, but I was kind of okay with it. Like when the big boss comes and talks to the little boss, and he says, "We must get them," I knew what was going on. I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was cool, except for the ending. Because I don't understand why he was just holding his gun, "Oh, what have I done?" Where did that come from?
Yeah. After they're firing, squatting on old people and children, it's like,
right.
I want you to come home and brush my hair is what makes him have a change of heart.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful boy.
How beautiful. Yeah.
I was the whole time
the mayor
thinking, is that the what patriotic song that I would choose in my time of death? I think there are better ones. I think that's a little bit of a deep cut that they chose there.
Put a boot in your ass. It's the American way.
Yeah. I give it a popcorn and a beer. But for its time, I feel like this is a really, really good movie for its time. As far as the effects and just, now it might not age perfectly, but it's still just a really good movie. I give it a good popcorn and a beer.
I'm glad you liked it, Jordan, to be honest. I am glad you liked it. Josh, what did you think?
This is a big 10-year-old boy producer who has billions of dollars, millions, and his best friend who's a 10-year-old boy director, and they're like, "You want to do something with some tanks?" Yeah. And it's just it's like children playing with Tonka toys. That's what the entire movie is. Yeah, like you said, put a tank in every frame. Make sure it's two
every
of them,
single scene.
Yeah. They had the cool trucks. They had the cool, their truck is really cool. It's all about machines and blowing up stuff up, which was, I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying that's what it was. A small thing was just when they get supplies at the corner store, like someone, like a good thing they packed all that soda and a football.
I know.
A football.
But
yeah.
they had like
It's
3
America.
cases of Coca-Cola. Like that's a bad idea. I don't know. I was gonna say about the language stuff, but the language barrier actually ended up okay for me. I thought the overacting was incredibly bad. It was really cool to see everyone so young.
What's up your butt? Don't you ever say that again.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
you ever say
What
that.
did I do? And everyone's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. I give it a popcorn. I wouldn't ever recommend this movie to anyone unless so that they just want to see some history, because for the time it is cool. I'm not mad that I saw it, but like I said, it's like, yeah, okay, I saw that movie, and that sure was cool back in the day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's
I
no
mean, the
redeeming
concept's
value
interesting. That's why.
Yeah, the concept is interesting.
That's why I like
like
the movie. I think.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you're a teenager, all that stuff, and even today, we talk about zombie apocalypses or what you would do. Could you just survive? Every time you go camping, you're like, I could make it out here. You know what I mean? So that was,
Yeah.
it was kind of an inevitable movie, and they didn't do a bad job with it. Yeah, popcorn.
Yeah. All right, so we got our butter on top, and we did an animated movie. It's very important for us to continue to feed that audience. We know a lot of our viewers have children, or maybe you're a grown child, and that's okay. Jordan, what were we watching this week for our butter on top?
We watched Pixar and Disney. It's a Disney film, yeah. Elemental. Disney. Elemental. It's a very. I don't feel like this movie was for kids.
I agree.
Right
really?
It was just a very adult love story, and about some deep. It goes deep on like immigrants and race and all that, but it was just Disney and Pixar trying to show off their art and animation design, which was just phenomenal in the movie.
Yeah,
it's really
Water and Fire are both.
Movie.
I'm sorry to step all over you.
No,
Water and Fire are like known for being one of the hardest things to animate, and they made a whole movie about it. That's great.
Oh, the fire people, they look fantastic. The whole movie.
Really?
I thought so. Yeah.
My note was the exact opposite. I said, not sure if I love the initial fire animation.
Really?
I thought that was the worst animation of the whole movie was the fire people. But that's interesting. So I got used to it. I kind of bought into it because it kind of becomes like that anime comic book.
It was yeah. It was a different style of animation. To me, it was just something. It was new. It was almost a blending of that kind of new animation style that they're trying with like Spider-Verse or with the new like Ninja Turtles or Puss in Boots. It was a blending of that with the old new animation stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good in that vein. The low key voice acting was fine. No big names in there, no really recognizable voices, but I thought everyone it was a good job. They kept voice acting primarily for the professional voice actors.
Yeah, I'm tired of celebrities getting that job. I mean, it's always nice to hear a celebrity do a good job, but give the voice actors a job, please.
Those end up being big money roles too, because they end up having like sequel after sequel after sequel. I mean, look at Hank Azaria. Hank Azaria has ridden that all the way to crazy fame.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, what other just straight up voice actor guys can you just name like that off the top of your head? Not very many, I'm sure.
You recognize the voices, but
yeah.
The only one I can think of is Luke Skywalker, but Billy West.
Yeah.
And who's the guy that did Batman that passed? The Batman guy Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. Yeah, DiMaggio. That's another one that does a bunch of voices. I can't think of his first name. Joe DiMaggio. I think his name's actually Joe DiMaggio, to be honest.
Not the baseball player.
Yeah.
The crying from the water people, how they all just cry and that's their thing because they're water, I guess. So they have to cry? I guess because it has to be.
They were an allegory for white people.
I mean, yeah, that it makes sense. But it had to be the opposite. of how the fire people are all feisty and angry and they have their tempers, so it had to be their water, so they're the opposite, they're sensitive and crybabies.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see you're using sour cream. I use Miracle Whip myself. Was it like that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then the line that just stuck with me at the very end, it's like one of the last 10 lines, and I don't know if I'm spoiling anything here, the daughter is doing her thing. She finds her own path, and she's feeling sorry for her parents, and they're like, "Oh, Mom, Dad, what are you going to do?" "Oh, it's all right. We have more time for hanky-panky." And I turned to who I was at the movies with. I was like, "Mom, what's hanky-panky?" It's like, funny. How did they think? Yeah, I don't know what the thinking was on that line. It was just super out of the character's personality. It just didn't make sense, and it was just weirdly adult at the climactic sequence of the movie. I give it a popcorn.
Nice.
I gave it a pop in 1. I think they're playing with a lot of adult themes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they dealt with religion, they dealt with racism, they dealt with segregation, they dealt with living up to your family's expectations. I mean, when they dig into the abusive father of her dad, who refused to acknowledge his son and thought he was like a waste of space in his opinion, and to how immigrants in this country feel about how they come to this country for a better life, and they build that life, and their children feel trapped. And I don't think that's just immigrant children. I think a lot of children that come, I start off the show like this, from a more blue-collar family, you feel trapped. Like you have to work to continue your parents' legacy in a certain way, because no one else can ever understand what your parents went through to provide you the life that you're able to live. So I thought that was very interesting. Very opposites attract. The coded language at the dinner table with the Water family. You speak so well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's literally a language I've been speaking my whole life.
I have a friend, a fire friend that works at the coffee shop or something like that. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Or the white savior complex of the Water, where I snuck into the back room and I called my friend and got you this internship.
Yeah.
You're right. There's so many adult themes in this movie that I don't think children will grasp. And it was another infomercial, kind of like Don't Look Up by Adam McKay. But yeah, I gave it a popcorn in 1 because I understood what they were trying to do. I appreciate it. It's very much the world is better if we all work together. And there's a spot in this world for everyone. Lots of like, we don't want y'all fire people around here in the movie, from beginning almost to the end. And the fire people are finally accepted. But I think they're going for diversity makes us better. And I like that. I like that they went for it. So I gave it a popcorn and 1. Now, we have a drunk classic that took all the way up to the last minute for him to decide. And Josh, it is your drunk classic this week, and I'd love to hear, because you were very excited when you finally made your decision, what it is.
I'll tell you why I was excited. Because this movie we just watched, you guys we just watched, was the fire and some water, right? So some water and fire. So we're gonna go with a wet, hot American summer.
Yeah, that is on my list, so I will scratch that one off the list as well.
Have you seen that, Jordan?
No, I've wanted to see it. I have not seen it. So
I think I believe it's Bradley Cooper's first movie. I believe it is. Paul Rudd's in it.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Banks is all over it. Kids,
Amy Poehler.
Some Kids in the Hall people, I think. Garofalo, like my 90s crush, all-time favorite. The guy, Niles from Frasier's in it. Everybody's in it. It's you're going to love it.
And then you'll go down a rabbit hole on Netflix and start watching all like the post Wet Hot American Summer stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a little
there's
obscure.
that. That's our drunk classic. I almost picked Tombstone because Jordan hasn't seen it yet.
I haven't seen that either.
But that'll be for later.
You already reviewed it.
That doesn't matter.
All right, so if you're wondering, butter on top. Well, it's not Barbenheimer weekend yet.
Not yet.
Will be next weekend. And I will issue a challenge to my co-hosts to see if we could all see both films in one day.
Definitely try.
Because that is supposed to be the key. That's what makes it Barbenheimer weekend.
Yes.
Is for all the people that are going to see both.
I'm going to see them back to back.
back to back. That's what you're supposed to do.
Barbenheimer.
Like that's what people are saying.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. You're supposed to see them back to back.
You hearing that?
So,
Nolan said there's no
we're gonna
CG in it.
Yeah, it was shot on a special film. Like you're supposed to go see this in a super high end theater. I don't have one of those out here, so I'm just gonna have to see it in a regular theater. Sorry, Mr. Posh Christopher Nolan.
I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to? What am I supposed to do with that information? Like, okay, is it a good movie? I mean, that's what I care
I'm
about.
disappointed. I'm disappointed that I don't get what everyone else that has money gets. Cool, that's every day of my life.
Yeah.
that brings us to the butter on top this week. We are going to go ahead and watch Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And Tom Cruise, if you don't know the background of this, is very mad that Barbenheimer come out next week because he wanted the theater all to himself, all the IMAX screens, because of the way he shot this movie, and he's just simply not going to get that. Well, everyone, that is our show. Jordan, where can they reach us on social media?
On Twitter at Popcorn and Beer. Popcorn and Beer.
Please tune in. Contact us. Go to Popcorn and Beer. Go to the Sad Fan Cast. Go to the Sad Fan 12 on Twitter. Thank you for joining us. As always, we will see you at the movie. You bring the popcorn, and we'll bring the beer.